So chapter 31 is an important chapter in the book, probably kind of the central passage upon which the whole story rests with Huck. This is his moment of introspection. He's found out that Jim has been taken from him and sold by the Duke, and that fake handbill that they made earlier. And so at this point, Huck Finn thinks about religion, he thinks about God, he thinks about his actions, and he waffles. At first he says serves him right for trying to help a runaway slave. That's what he gets. It's God punishing him. He should never have tried to hurt the widow in that way. But then he scribbles out a letter to the widow saying, hey, your slave has been stolen. I know where Jim is. You can find him here. Because he figures it'll be better for Jim to be with his owners farther north than to be sold down the river. And so he tries to pray at that point. And he has this momentary feeling of the burden being lifted from him. But probably one of the most moving scenes happens in this chapter just after that. Instead of sending that letter to the widow, he tears it up, and basically he makes his final decision. You know, the whole novel he's been wavering. Do I help Jim? Is it right? Is it wrong? What do I do? And so then finally, at this point, he says, you know what? I know helping Jim is wrong, and I know that if I do help him, God's going to punish me and I'm going to go to hell. But he says, I don't care. I'm going to help Jim anyway. And I'm going to go all the way. I'm going to be loyal to him, even though society says it's wrong, that I know it's wrong, even though according to religion, I know helping Jim is wrong because he's a slave. I'm going to do it anyway, and if that means that when I die I go to hell, then that's fine. So be it. Now understand that this is coming from Huck's childlike mindset, his naivete, where he is not understanding that society and what society says about religion can be wrong. He just assumes they're right because he's a kid and they're not. But I think what Mark Twain's showing here is this very heroic moment from Huck Finn, where as a child or a young kid, he chooses what is morally right rather than what is socially accepted as right. And I just think that's a beautiful part of this novel. So look at how he changes. And then whenever Tom Sawyer, who's supposed to be the model kid, good upbringing, creative, educated, whenever he comes on the scene in a little bit, notice how morally corrupt he is, how mean, how just flat out mean he is, but all in the name of doing what's right. They offer a strong contrast to each other. And Huck goes along with Tom just assuming that he's right because he's from better stock, a better family, more educated, so he must know. And what's going to happen is Tom's playing him for a fool the whole time. And whenever you get to the last couple of chapters, you're going to find out that everything that he's done is pretty much just mean. So an interesting contrast there. Be aware of that. Anyway, great information here on religion. If you're doing that topic, great information on lies also still in this section. But really strong. So if your topic has anything to do with religion, you really need to pay attention to this chapter. All right, best of luck.